Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is...
What if I have the right number?
Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is where you are watching The Tea with Dr. T. Today it is Dr. T and friends. So I want to introduce my two besties from high school, Danette and Cicely. They are sitting in. We are going to talk about all the things today. We're going to talk about just why we're here and give you a little bit of background on our history together and some things that we think you can glean from our friendship moving into 50, because I'm celebrating my 50th birthday all year. All year, okay. So I guess let's just talk about how we met and how we came to be besties. So I'll start with you.
Okay, so Cicely and I go back to middle school. We went to middle school together, Johnson Park Junior Prison, Columbus, Ohio. And then we were in high school together at Wellington, which is a college prep school, private school. We were on scholarship together. And we were experiencing all kind of culture shock. Every single day, it would be like bougie people from a very different background saying or doing something that we found absolutely shocking, but we had each other. And so we shouldered on. And then junior year, was it the start of the year or was it
Day one?
Day one, junior year. Here comes Tanika.
Whoop, whoop.
And for me anyway, we clicked instantly. Like it's like we looked at each other and saw kinship. We saw a sister immediately. And we were like alike enough that I feel like we just got each other, and different enough that we were really interested in each other. You know what I'm saying? And we just rolled. And then the three of us together was like a special other kind of element, you know, because Cicely was more reserved. She was more chill, more laid back. You were wide open,
Yeah.
just full
Still
on
am.
fire sign. And I was like somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And when you put us all together, it was just magic. It was beautiful.
Yeah, sis, what you say?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, she pretty much encompassed it all.
Yeah.
I think when you came, you to Wellington, you were more in the mindset of why am I here? And we had already had that in freshman year. So we were kind of like, okay, guns blazing, we just got to get this work done. We got to get these extracurricular activities done. We got to deal with all these folks who, make life hard for us and just get through. And so we just put your head down and, and we had learned how to have fun with it and make light of it and things like that and cope. And so having you come literally, I think was just a bright spot in it and made it even better and something we look forward to more of that Wellington experience. I mean, then it just was the weekends we would hang out and everything was so fun. Yeah, I was more, I would say in the books, but I was just more like, they call me an old lady. I live with my grandmother and her sister, so like literally the Golden Girls. And so I was at home with my Golden Girls eating baked chicken. And they was like more like out hanging and just wanting to just go experience things more than I am. But we loved each other. At the end of the day, we always had each other's back. And we loved being together.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I came from DeSales where I had like a ton of friends, black and white. I was a trainer for football, so I had great interaction with men. And that was like such a great safe space for me. The teachers really loved me. And so I got offered a full scholarship to Wellington and my parents made me go. I literally went kicking and screaming. And I remember that I wore makeup the first day of school. And I didn't wear makeup, but I remember thinking nobody's gonna like me. These people are gonna already have their friendship groups and their cliques, and I'm gonna have to prove myself, and infiltrate, and it's gonna be hard. And I'll never forget, I came in with sort of a chip on my shoulder as the new girl, and I walked in the building, and this thing was happening. People sat in a circle to start the school day, and I was like, what is this? What is this? And Danette,
in the
comments, and Danette was literally the first person I met. It was almost like she was standing there waiting for me. And I remember there was no mean girl energy, which I thought was weird. You know, I was like, she's not going to
There
haze
wasn't
me.
enough of them, of us for that.
Right.
There was no separate cliques of
We
it.
were like ports in a storm for each other. Like,
That's how it felt. And I was like, I remember the second I met you, I remember our first interaction, and I remember my shoulders just coming down. Like, I remember being like, oh, I'm not going to have to fight my way into this friendship group. I'm not
I
gonna
remember
have to
you being
fight my
like,
way.
what the? And I remember being like, oh yeah, this is kind of stuff we do here.
I was like, why is everybody sitting in a circle on the floor? What's happening? So that I remember that. And then you were like, let me introduce you to Cicely. Like, you one of us now. And there was no ramp, so to speak, into the social group of the Black girls at Wellington. It was like I was in day one. That was very strange for me because I think I've always had to feel like I've had to prove myself, you know, or
Yeah.
you know, earn love or earn, you know, and that was really one of the first times. And I think I do that for people now where I probably would have been different. I probably would have, you know, repeated the cycle of hazing people and making them, you know, and that was the first time that I had somebody be like, girl, just come on.
And here we are, three reasonably intelligent Black girls on scholarship, and with having already had the experience of being treated as exceptional and special. And sometimes you will default to seeing girls of a similar, you know, type or position as competition. I'm glad that that wasn't not my style, that wasn't my personality, that wasn't my orientation. But the environment absolutely can cultivate that kind of competitiveness, that kind of scarcity. But yeah, we weren't on that. That's not who we were.
Not between us.
No, I want to talk about something that we don't talk about a lot, and I think it's important for our listeners, and that is the road to getting to Wellington. We don't talk about that a lot. We don't talk about what that was like, especially you guys going from Johnson Park to Wellington. Tell me a little bit about that process, how you experienced that.
I'll start. Okay.
Sure.
So I mean, we were both in inner city school for middle school here, and it was a lot. It was, you know, not fun, I would say necessarily, but you survive, you learn, and you do have your different cliques and whatever you have to do to survive. And I just remember we had one teacher, our English teacher, who saw something in us that I know I didn't see in myself. And she just made a referral. I, again, didn't ask our parents or anybody if it would okay. She on her own made these nominations. I think she nominated 3 young ladies from our class, who we went on to ended up having to test to get into Wellington. Didn't know anything about it. We were just taking the test because they told us to take a test. And we placed in the top 2 to be able to get in that school. And then, you know, I think it was almost like Willy Wonka and the Magic Ticket, like, you know, the little boy who won I forget his name. What's his name? He got his golden ticket. That's how it felt. And we just now we're in this, our family's trying to figure out, well, how we make this happen. What do we do logistically? How you get there? Upper Arlington is way on the other side of the town from where we lived. And you know, get your little bag and your coat and go off into the world and make something happen. And nobody in our family could tell us what to do and expect. And nobody had done anything like that. So we were kind of, you know, blazing a new trail. I didn't feel like
pioneers.
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't
tiny frontier.
I never
girls.
felt like I couldn't do it, but I definitely didn't know what to expect. And I didn't know what I was getting into. But I wanted the adventure. I was looking forward to it. It was a lot.
Shout out to Miss Jackson who recommended us. She said she was I tell this story actually.
Okay.
One time she pulled me to the side, and I don't remember the context. I couldn't tell you much of anything. My memory is bad. But one time she said to me, basically, you're smart. You need to do something with that.
Wow.
Like it was because she was real matter of fact. Remember how she was no muss, no fuss, right? She was just like, you have something, do something with it. And I don't remember really having any big reaction to it, but somehow it stayed with me. And it felt like okay, if you have something worth sharing, worth contributing to the world, it immediately follows, then you should do that. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so I guess at least as early as seventh grade, I had this idea in my mind that I was capable of something. And I think the fact that she wasn't like some clucking hen, like, oh baby, you are smart, you are beautiful, you are
Right.
precious. No, she was just like,
It
no,
was
you're
not
smart, do
patronizing.
something.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
bet, got you. Say less, you
Yeah.
know.
Did you know she was recommending us for that, or was that a surprise?
I don't remember that
Yeah,
part.
me
I
either.
remember having the conversation with my mother where she asked me, do you
Okay.
want to do this test? And the
Okay.
thing that was interesting is it was three of us who were
Yep,
friends,
yep.
and we were the three people that she recommended.
Yep.
And so it was the fact that we were trying it, we were taking this risk together that made it make sense.
Okay.
And then
Gotcha.
obviously the fact that you and I are the two who
Right.
landed in this foreign land together
Mhm.
is really probably a big reason why I felt like I could do it. Like I remember
Yeah.
the culture shock. I
Mhm.
remember being overwhelmed. I remember being like, these little kids be cussing at each other, at their moms. Like
Yeah.
I'm telling y'all, it was like, what's the David Attenborough, like going out into nature. We would be like, did you talk to like it was
Yeah.
so every
They
single
coming
day
in
it was some new
limos, being
thing.
driven by drivers.
Having
And
personal
I even
drive-
remember the way they wore their uniforms was like, oh, they know how to wear a school uniform.
Yeah.
We had never done that.
Yeah,
we
right.
had our
It's
stuff
tailored.
on. It was all
Stuff
starched
tailored,
and
yeah.
no, but ours was like brand new out the box.
Right. With the faux
And long,
creases.
they went and tailored their stuff into mini skirts and
Uh-huh.
rolled up their sleeves and was real cool with it. Their version of
Right,
cool.
because we were in prep uniforms, like
That was the
flannel.
first time we had
flannel,
done
like
anything
all
like
that.
that. Yeah, and so all of that was so in my opinion, I remember feeling like we looked like outsiders
Mhm.
more for that. But I remember when you came,
Yeah.
you had worn uniforms
Yeah.
before, so
Yeah.
you was cool with yours
Yeah.
from the
Yeah,
jump
I was
too.
cool with the
Yeah,
uniform.
you already knew
I
how to
thought the
make that
uniforms were actually
style.
kinda cute,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
I
got the
still think
style
they're
that-
cute, but
Yeah.
it was just that it was so different, for us.
a
And it was a
concept.
whole big production. Where do you buy,
Yes.
this particular plaid and
Yeah.
those particular khakis and
Yeah.
this, it was all very particular. Where do you
Yeah.
buy that? How do you budget for that? They included uniforms in your scholarship.
Absolutely.
They did not in mine.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
crazy.
every new year or when I grew or whatever,
Mhm.
my mother had to figure that out.
That's
But we
so
did.
super then.
We figured it out.
For me, the thing that would start the uniforms I was cool with. Even I thought going to white people, I would, going to school with white people, I would be okay with. What I was not prepared for was riding a COTA bus to school. There not being a bus to take us to school and us being dropped off in the back of the school and having to
Literally.
walk through the school. And we were always late because the COTA bus schedule is the COTA bus schedule. That I think was some of the most traumatizing memories that I have of going to Wellington, because it was the feeling of not only are you an outsider and we gave you this scholarship to be here, but get here how you can. You know what I mean? And
Through the
that
back
was
of the school.
that was so different from the warm, inviting environment of DeSales that I was just like, what the world,
Yeah, and as much as we saw them and their land as foreign and alien, I think they kind of did so with us.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel like that whole what is it? What am I trying to think of the word where it's like, so you used to talk about this. Let's get the Black girl perspective.
Oh
of,
yeah, they'd be like, we
it-
need Danette or Tanika. Either one, it doesn't matter. We'd be like,
Yeah,
we're
and they
cheaper
would
people.
treat us like the representative
monolithic
of
one- as
our
one.
people,
Yeah.
which is so much pressure.
So much pressure.
And obviously, we were coming from affirming diverse environments where we didn't see ourselves as the delegate of the Black race or the middle class aspiring Black race or Black girlhood or whatever the thing was. We didn't see ourselves that way, but we were constantly finding that they were relating to us that way. And so then there's a decision to make every single time, every moment. Do we feed into that? Do we claim that privilege and say, I'm gonna tell you who we really are? Or do we reject it and say, actually, I'm really kind of just me, so thank you, but no, thank you. You have to navigate that. And we had to do that constantly all the time.
Well, I think one of the biggest things, and Cicely, I know you weren't in our class, but one of the biggest points for us was the Rodney King
Oh, yeah.
verdict. We were seniors in high school when the verdict came down. We
Yeah.
woke up early in the morning at our friend Erica's house to watch everything. We were watching LA on Fire, and we took the COTA bus, very somber, to school, and we were like, okay, when we get there, they're going to address this. They're going to pull the Black kids out of school. They're going to talk to us. They're going to acknowledge our pain. They're going to acknowledge our suffering. They're going to acknowledge this blatant racism. And we got to school and it was business as usual.
It was in the old day.
It was business as usual. And Danette and I were like blinking back tears, and my stomach was in knots. And we were in algebra, and I was like, I cannot do algebra. And I don't know what in the world came over us or how we decided this, but we just stood up and turned over our
It was
desks.
you started it, which is
I always
interesting
started.
That sounds
because
like you.
why do I then senior year get voted most likely to start a riot? The one time
I
we
was probably
rioted,
smiling.
the one time they
Yeah.
turned up at Wellington, you actually kicked it off. And then I was like, oh, but you were the one who kicked it off.
I just quietly did it. Danette was probably the one that had the words.
Yeah,
behind it.
exactly.
You know what
I was
I'm
gonna say
saying?
that. You
Okay.
always had the words
Okay.
behind.
Because I didn't know what to
the
say. I
strong
just knew
opinion.
what I felt.
Okay.
Like, we are not about to do business as usual. So they took me and Danette out of class. We thought we were going to get in trouble and sent home, but we had a gracious principal, Miss Pinson, who was like, what do you need? And I was like, pizza. That was number one on my list. I was like, pull all the Black kids out of class and get us pizza. And we need to talk about what's going on
We were
right now.
caucusing. We didn't have the words.
We had a
were
word,
caucusing.
and they did it. They pulled us all out of class. We ordered us pizza, and we got to debrief and talk about what it was a missed opportunity though, because
Yeah.
everybody should have been debriefing.
Mhm.
If I had to do it again, I wouldn't have pulled the Black kids out of class.
Yeah.
I would have made the white kids understand what we were feeling
Or we're caucusing and the white folks are also caucusing.
Mhm.
about
Right,
the same thing.
with some facilitation, right, and
Yes.
having a conversation.
Yes.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you there.
Yeah. So I think we've talked about how we got together and our friendship. Now let's talk about where we are now, turning 50. How has it been? You both turned 50 before I did.
I'm the elder
Yeah, so
by
tell me,
like 3 months.
Yeah.
so tell me about what has it been like, this transition to 50?
I feel like ever since 40, each birthday feels like a big sort of mini journey. And I think like, I know for me, I feel like I struggle with aging because I see like, oh, I'm getting further and further away from my prime. And so my big journey is largely internal. Like I'm not the person who's gonna have a big old shebang. I did a retreat when I turned 50 with 2 of my closest friends. A friend had a house out in the country, like a fancy house out in the country. And we were building fires, we were grilling steak, we were taking nature walks, sipping wine. And I went on like an ancestry journey. So for me, it was way more sort of a turning inward kind of thing. But it's about this kind of balancing act of like embracing the change, embracing the stage of life, not understanding myself as sort of past my prime, being able to see that like there is at least another act in front of me, and just trying to sort of embrace that. But at the same time, I feel like there's also this whole other narrative where I feel like I become more and more who I genuinely am every single day, every single month, every single year. More and more accepting, more and more self-aware, and more determined, to live life on my terms. So it's really kind of a both and, it's not all up, it's not all, oh no, I'm old, I'm gray. It's complex and it's nuanced, but I embrace it. Yeah.
For me, turning 50, the overwhelming sense, kind of the theme for me that kept coming up was feelings of gratitude for being able to make it this far in life, and in how important it is that when you do have thanks and gratitude for the things that you have experienced, it makes the tough times easier to navigate. So there's been plenty of ups and downs in the 50 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Being a Black woman on this earth, right? And that's the perspective that I've kind of resolved in, within at this stage of life. And it just makes it so much easier to navigate. I had a party. For me, though, event planning is like one of my things. So I needed to get that out of me. It was like birthing something. I was like, I had this idea. I want this. I want that one. So I got to do something.
Yeah.
Right. But I made the whole theme of that a gratitude party, and just loving on the people who have in some way influenced my life or whatever. That's kind of how I look at it. And just showing that thanks, it makes me feel not only stay in a place of humility, but graciousness, all the things that I value more than anything. So,
Can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
Do you feel more courageous
mhm,
in this stage of your life?
definitely.
Yeah.
More willing to speak my mind.
Mhm.
You know what it is? I think more than anything, I feel like I know myself now.
Mhm.
And I know why I've made bad decisions, and I know why I make good decisions. And I own the good and the bad. It's very hard for me to own my bad.
Mhm.
But I'm at a place where I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I do that.
Yeah.
I got a slick mouth. So it just it's like being say and I'm gonna work on it. I do have some the negative stuff. I can work on it. I still got time.
Yeah.
It's a day at a time. But I think when I experience peaks or when I see friends experience valleys, I was like, there's a peak. There's a peak
Yes.
coming.
Mhm.
You just got to take it one day at a time to get there.
Yeah.
Just patience and all those things. You rely on your higher power. That's another thing I've learned in these 50 years is when you are willing and able to do that and really strengthen your relationship with whoever you see as your higher power, it helps so much
Yeah.
with just navigating life.
Yeah. Turning 50 for me I love what both of you have said and share a lot of those sentiments. But it's really been about celebrating, I think I'm a person to want to celebrate everybody else and push everybody else. And so this for me was
That's
really
true.
about me celebrating me. And I think I told you last night, I felt like if I celebrate me and pour, then everybody's going to get the overflow. Everybody's going to get the overflow of joy
Which is true.
and the
It's
experience. And
contagious.
so I really just wanted to do what I wanted to do and something that was very uniquely me and my personality. And that's what I did. And I think
Yes.
what becoming 50 has been about for me is not apologizing for who I am. The
Yes.
extraness, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of that, like that is me.
Mhm.
And I spent so much time trying to dummy that down and trying to be less and trying not to be so extra for what?
Right.
Turn down for
Right.
what?
Yeah, right.
And so I'm
Right.
just embracing the extraness, and that is me.
Mhm.
I see it in my granddaughter who's a lot like me. I'm just like, some people are just born like this, and why be smaller? Like,
Right,
why?
right, absolutely.
And I'm determined to surround myself with people who can accept the extraness.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because I ain't
That's
for
right.
everybody, and
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But surround myself
That's
with
real.
people who
I
push,
feel you there.
who see it and are like, no, more of that, do
Mhm.
that. Because that's really me.
I really have to say, Tanika, I mean, I feel like you transform every space you're in
Thank you.
for the better. You know what I mean? To be
Mhm.
clear. Like, I think, I told you this yesterday and I was like, I know you don't want to hear this, but you are not a regular girl. Like, you are special. You are unique. You are uniquely gifted and bright and warm and shining and brilliant and
Thank
fun. And you bring things. I mean, everybody's got something. Everybody's sacred and divine and has something beautiful within them.
Mhm.
And you are special. And I think that you brighten every room you enter. And I think if you don't embrace and accept that about yourself, you're really robbing yourself, but also us, So I'm glad that you and we continue to move in this place of
Yeah.
self-knowing and
Yeah.
self-acceptance,
Yeah.
And not apologizing.
And that's
Yeah.
why a podcast, something like this, makes perfect sense. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was getting choked up. Like, we really doing it. We really doing
It's-
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And that's another thing, actually, because we should share, so I'm 51 in grad school, set out on a journey toward sort of like a new career, new direction, maybe a new baby if this dissertation thing happens in my future. to be at this stage of life, I have a few friends who are pursuing like professional degrees and doing new things, writing a book. I think that is something that keeps you alive.
Mhm.
And you, more than anybody I know,
Mhm.
are going to have a new project,
new project.
new baby. You're going to be birthing something, manifesting something, creating. I think that keeps you young, it keeps you alive.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's something that you're working on. You're like, I was telling them, I think the other day that I'm more slow to well, and again, it's part of your growth or whatever, and really knowing yourself and being confident in who you are. But like I remember thinking when I was in law school studying for the bar, I just really want to have like this community like event where all the people who need to understand and know how to make the laws work for them and find justice. They need to know all the resources that are available for them, and we need to have like some famous person singing to them, in a block party type of hip hop playing, to draw the people in. And then if you come, we will teach you what you need to know. And like literally, I'm doing that this year at the age of 50, right? Finally, right? Just something I've daydreamed about for years. But if it's in you, if God gives you that, you have to do it. And that's how I feel. That's what will bring you joy, and that's what will make you feel like you fulfilled your purpose here on this earth. And that's just so much bigger than the everyday monotony and the bad things we see on the news and the rumors we hear and about people we know. Is like that stuff doesn't matter when you are really looking at your higher purpose and fulfilling that. You float.
Yeah, you
float,
do.
You float on a higher level.
Absolutely.
So what would you say about the future? I mean, one of the greatest things about where we all three are right now is we're in the process of, in some ways, reinventing ourselves. And, we're coming out of relationships. We're, maintaining or starting a new career, career trajectory. What do we say to our future self, about this moment that we're in right now?
Good question.
Ooh, that is a good one.
I'll start.
Okay.
Nice. Thank you.
So I, of course, I would tell my future self, because I envision, this future self, let's say 20 years in the future, and she is living in this beautiful home that is, simple but lots of windows, lots of ability to see outdoors, lots of plants, lots of life growing, and she I'm envisioning long dreads or braids and just tunic, like white or cream, and just comfortable. And and she is poised, reserved. She's shoulders back, looking me directly in my eye and telling me I am okay. Telling me if you make choices now for you, you can be here where I am in this place of just solace and being in confidence. I don't really know if it's in America or another country, but it's definitely somewhere where there's lots of sun and life, like I said, the flora and I think that wherever she is right now, her career, she was proud of what she did and left behind. Whether it's writing and teaching and training. So I just want, I envision that person and me getting there by doing things that bring me joy. That's pretty much what it is.
That's beautiful. Do you want to go next?
Well, I'll follow because I feel like I have a similar.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Like ditto.
I mean, really, literally, like I like to grow food. That future me has, half an acre or something, big old garden. I can just stroll out in the morning and pluck myself something fresh. You know what I mean? Like I feel like a similar vision of like not necessarily solitude. I do want to be in relationship and community. I want to stay plugged in, you know,
Mhm.
to the world. But I would like to feel like that future me has solace, has peace, has like an abundant, stable, vibrant retreat, you know, of refuge from it all. But what's interesting and what was coming up for me when you were talking is, so then it follows that like I should be thinking today
Yep.
how to build
Yeah,
a path
exactly.
towards that.
Yeah.
And I can't really say
Right.
that I have done that very
Yeah.
intentionally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's what was coming up. Like, yes,
do we-
I want that.
Right.
Does the life that I'm living
Yeah,
now
Exactly.
even potentially lead me there?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not. But
We
the
have
fact
to
that I haven't really
start
even thought
thinking
about it
about
that
that.
concretely
Yeah.
is yeah, that was eye-opening for me. So thank you. But yeah, I do feel like I have a similar vision for myself. I I still think I have a great American novel in me.
Yes.
So here again, what needs to happen now for me to birth that baby sometime in my future. So yeah, I feel like you give me a lot to think about.
Yeah, I love both your answers. I am living with 2 aneurysms, so this is actually something I think about a lot because I do have to work actively to create the life that I want to see in the future.
Mhm.
And so the life I see in the future is first of all just being old, you know, and then having great health, you know, which again, I got to start today. We did water aerobics today, so we did that. And then also being surrounded by friends and families and my man. He gonna be there too. And having written my books and teaching, I mean, a lot of what you described is exactly what I see for myself in the future. The trees, the flora, the light, the sun. I don't know if it's in America either.
Yeah.
But I'm very present to the ways in which I can bring little elements of that future me
Yes.
into my now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
like
what
that.
meditation is for
Right.
me.
Right.
That's what yoga is for me. That's what gardening is for me
Yes,
now.
yes.
It's bringing those future
Absolutely,
elements to me
Yes,
now.
yes.
And I think that's what we have to do.
I think I parent from that place. You know,
Great.
I look at my children and I tell them all the time, I'm a baby fanatic. I love babies. I think they are just adorable. I just want to eat them up. I love the baby stage with my children. You know, it was some of my best years. And I daydream about adult relationships with them because they are, Baez and Maria are my favorite people on
Yeah.
earth. Why wouldn't I want to have a beautiful, rich, you know, healthy future adult relationship with them? This middle stage, okay.
Gotta get through that.
But yeah, but I feel like I parent from this place of like, I want them to have a future that is abundant and that they are capable and they have all this capacity for joy, you know, and to be able to manifest what they want for their lives. And I want to be a part of it.
Mhm.
And I parent in such a way to try to manifest that for myself and for them. That's
Yeah.
huge for me. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. We'll see.
Well, thank
Time
you.
will tell.
Listen, I'm so appreciative of you spending time with me here on this podcast. There's a million other
Thank
things
you
you
for
could have
inviting
done.
us.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for inviting
Thank
us.
you so much. It really helps to reaffirm that this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing right now. It felt so right. So let's take a group hug.
Oh, love you so much.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Love you. And thank you for spending time with the T, with Dr. T.
Toast. Oh,
Yes.
to the future.
See you next episode.